uh, you had your unconscious corpse along with.
You cut out there, Betty.
Hello? What is going on? Is that me or
Are you like, are you not on push to talk? Are you using a noise gate?
no? No, it sounds like I'm leaving the channel and jumping back in. Let me reload. Then I'll get right back.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello.
Okay, sorry about that. My laptop was acting up.
Oh, so it might have been you, the noise you heard.
tell it to act right and fly straight.
Well,
Okay. Hopefully that's better. The thing is with this headset, it's the Logitech. It's kind of an older one, not that old, but if somebody turns on the microwave in the house, it cuts off.
Oh
How
my
does a
god.
microwave affect it?
And it's kind of far away. It's like 60 feet away from me right now. I'm looking at it across the room. Wild, but
It must be
it
nice to
happens.
have 60 feet of space in an apartment, Benny.
Well, it's a house. All right. I have to. It's not the best because I have to shovel.
yeah,
You people who
shoveling
don't
sucks.
own.
Hey, I don't own and I have to shovel.
I have to shovel too.
Yeah.
I don't think you understand, Ralph.
Well, you own, but you don't own, but doesn't your mother own?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
means you're
shovel
the
because I have
hired
an
labor.
old landlord who I don't want to die.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
so
it's
nice.
different than when you have to shovel out an entire driveway.
I have to essentially do that because my car is snowed in.
Nope. Dude, like
It's
five.
hard packed snow around 3 feet of my car.
Yes, but I have like a 45-degree angle to get out of my driveway.
You are also much
Oof.
younger and have full of energy.
Oh my god, here we
Oh,
go.
don't play that bullshit.
So I guess I don't know if you heard the part where I was trying to do a quick recap of what happened to you, John. But
I did, I believe.
yeah, so they stumbled upon your unconscious body, and Krzysztof's as well. Um, and what happened was that Rafael, I don't know if you were aware of the issue that had arisen, that Peter was traveling with Rafael, and
Oh, and then there was a doppelganger that wasn't a doppelganger. It was a
became known.
Brazu or Brizu or whatever.
Yeah, and Peter and Light Pants Raphael, as he comes to know, when they were transported, C was able to be a little more accurate, and he got them right into the captain's quarters, and thereupon they found the corpse, and then eventually, hijinks ensued. Spaceships exploded, asteroids almost killing everybody.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, Peter almost got the ship working, couldn't get the ship working, and fun hopefully was had by all. Eventually, Dark Pants Raphael was outed by very aggressive team members who happened to cast lightning um, upon one of them, and then happened to hit the other one as well because Light Pants Raphael was very adamant about protecting his own, who he assumed was, someone just like him.
Okay.
And so that didn't work out too great, but in the end, they were victorious against this demon who was basically trying to track down, the entity that was C, and then the house disappeared into nothingness, leaving everybody out.
Forgot the most important part.
What was the most important part?
The flesh edifice.
There was, yes,
I don't want to hear about a flesh edifice. You can
there
keep
was
that part.
there was a nasty flesh edifice that the manor transformed into. That was the true form of C, also known as the conductor, by the demon.
Wait, so he was. Alright, I'm not gonna question.
Yeah,
Just
well, you were asleep. Yeah, you were asleep the whole time. It was real cool, and he wasn't entirely sure whether you were alive or not. So he dumped you in the same room that he'd been storing the previous adventurers who had
He's
failed.
a sphincter.
Yeah, and there was a sphincter. Well, all the rooms technically were sphincters, as
Fun.
portals. But yeah,
I love sphincter portals.
And yeah, so let's just say um, this is some time later. You all had gone not necessarily your separate ways, but um, you I know wanted to sort of get out of Waterdeep, right, John?
And that I
Um,
did.
yes, and the that pull sort of led you out towards the northern roads on some jobs just so you can keep afloat. Uh,
Hmm. You cut out.
well,
All I heard was something about staying afloat, and then I heard silence.
that sucks. I guess it's my headset or something, and I have it plugged in. It's not on battery either.
Blaming it on the
Maybe that's why.
microwave.
Actually, no, that fucking bitch. She turned on the microwave. Sorry, that
Your
was my
wife?
wife. I'll never forgive her. That's exactly what happened. Like when I go to look at it, she put something on there. Anyway, sorry guys. So, uh, one of your companions for sure joins, and that's Rafael, who is always looking for some work, um, and uh, and Maven, who also didn't have a lot of love for being in the city of Waterdeep, considering Blackstaff Tower considers them persona non grata, I would imagine. So you guys pick up a job that, and we're doing this all sort of in retrospect because this is called "You're Getting Railroaded," and that's exactly what's happening. So you had come across a job that was that was actually put up by one of the town guardsmen, and sort of all the dealings outside of Waterdeep. The guards have their hands full for the most part, so they put up a posting, and a lot of what you gathered from the job was that there was some incident that occurred on one of the towns uh, north north and west of Waterdeep. It's about half a day's walk, but the town is called Seafoam.
Seafoam. Okay.
And um, and that's your understanding of the town. It's not the kind of place you would normally go uh, for your own dealings, because there's nothing there for the most part. Um, now, you're traveling to the town, and when you get there, um, let's say it's sometime near, uh, let's say sometime near maybe 11 o'clock. That's how long you left in the morning. Pick up the job. Um, and so when you come upon the village, because I have to stop calling it a town, even calling it a village at this point is a little bit of an overstatement. You come upon what you assume is the ruins of the village for the most part. Um, there are, whatever shanties and little huts and small houses that were built. Some of them are completely destroyed, and it looks like some sort of you know, s- some weather event might have happened here. Um,
Those are my
and
favorite
so,
kinds of events.
yeah. Um, so, when you happen upon the ruins of this small village, you see some survivors, and you see them sort of huddled together, and they're under tarps, and the timbers of their homes and things are just sort of they reconstituted to form, lean-tos. It's not a very rich town, um, and the population wasn't very large, but you see a handful of people still there trying to cling to a semblance of living. Um, and most of them were very, uh, like, what's that word for when they can't produce words, like what I'm doing right now?
Speechless.
Yeah,
Speechless, yeah.
speechless. Yeah. Well, so they were mostly gibbering. A lot of them weren't. They were seemed to be sort of in
Incoherent.
shock. Yeah, they were incoherent. They were in shock, from what you could tell. And this must have been going on for days. Um, and you came across one of the sailors that had seen, many years, and he too was huddled with his wife under one of the lean-tos that was built to try to keep them, sheltered from the rest of the weather. But today it's an overcast day. It's not raining or sunny, but it's a fairly overcast day. And they were mostly whispering in hushed tones about some some dark wave that had come and took everything. And it was, it wasn't anything they had seen before. It seemed almost like it had a purpose. And when the waters receded, they'd seen monsters. Um, and one of the old men is, talking about his little boy who was playing right over there, and now he's gone. They took him, and these things, it's like out of some nightmare, right? And he's describing all of these horrors, and they also mentioned it, and you see it when when they point it out, and something that had never been there before, and some island had sprouted up, and it's off in the distance. You can see it, but they assume that something had uh, that this must have come from that event as well. So it must be related, because that island had never existed uh, before this. Um, and so let's just say you got on a boat, you went out there to go check it out, because what are we if we're not adventurers, right? So, what you noticed as well is the fish. There were some dead fish littered, here and there with some debris. Um, you notice the fish weren't what you'd expect in terms of your normal coastal wildlife. Um, and you live on the Sword Coast. You're used to seeing the same sort of sea life, either in the markets or just being brought up by the sailors in Skullport or something like that. And what you saw there was this was different kind of fish. You saw, strange sort of tuna. You see jellyfish that look very strange, and most of these are just corpses. Some of them were still breathing, but their last breaths. But these anglerfish. These were fish that were from what you assume is the deep sea. And I know that Maven would know this more, being somebody who's more studied about the world and at large. But yeah, so these seem to be fish that came from a much farther or deeper uh, waters than you'd expect.
How big
along the
is
Sword
the
Coast.
boat?
The boat is your typical row boat. It's just enough that you could probably fit 4 people. Uh,
Perfect.
but that would be pretty cramped, even in that case. But the 3 of you do fit on the boat with, and it's cozy.
I'd like to reach out and grab one of these fish,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd
So-
like to give it a whiff, because I'm very curious as to what this super dead fish smells like.
Oh boy. Okay.
My God.
Well, well, wait. So let's say that's before, because this was all the debris that was left in town. Like this stuff actually ended up in village. Yeah. So if you wanted to, yeah, you could pick it up there. And so let's say you pick up one of the stranger fish that has a sort of thing sticking out of its head, and you can roll me an intelligence check. And if you have nature, you can add that. A narwhal? No, it's not enough. It's not that big. Hey, with my there we go. All right. Oh, I guess not. No. Nobody wants to know what a big.
I'm trying to pull up my character sheet. My phone's just being stupid because it's crappy, and Apple decides to slow it down.
I too know your pain.
What kind of
Yeah.
check do you need to make?
It's an
Nature.
intelligence check, and if you have
Would-
nature, you can add that. Yeah.
Would I be able to do survival?
I'll allow it because
I'm
it's not that big. of a
sniffing
deal.
this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You can do it.
I just want to see if anything unnatural killed this fish.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Well, at least with the 9, you're able to figure out like this, the cause of death, if we want to CSI this for the most part, was that whatever wave that was assumed to have come on shore, um, brought all of this wildlife with it, and then when it receded, they stayed behind. Sort of like when a tsunami comes on. It wasn't tsunami level, but when a tsunami comes in, it just sort of breaks the shore with all of this debris. The fish just happened to die because it was no longer in the water. Couldn't make it back. And you
All
get
right.
that same feeling about the rest of this stuff.
So when I sniff this dead fish, I look at the fish. I look at my party members, and
Hold
I
on a second.
say,
It cut off again. Sorry. When you sniff this, what?
I sniffed this dead, super dead fish.
Mhm.
I then looked up and around at my fellow party members and said, "This fish should not be here. This is way too on land. Where has this fish come from?"
Um,
And Maven, if you want, you can roll a knowledge check as well.
Sure. So knowledge nature.
Yeah, knowledge nature.
I would
Sure.
roll, but I don't like fish.
Yeah, that's cool. You're in for a fun ride then, Mel.
Oh no. I like sushi though.
Well,
Ah,
oh, very
no,
good. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm great today.
Yeah, I mean, at least if we're getting out the bad rolls, we're doing it on some stupid bullshit. So.
Oh no, we
Yeah.
had a
How-
bunch of bad rolls
that-
like the entire session last time.
oh yeah,
Oh,
it was
no.
it was terrifying. It was a real horror show.
Benny has cursed us.
Yes, that's what I do. It's an aura that I permeate throughout the interwebs. So yeah, so maybe you search the depths of your knowledge, and maybe this was one of those classes you skipped. But you're pretty sure this isn't, this is clearly not the normal fish that you've seen before. You're not sure where it comes from, but you're guessing it's not from here. So let's just say, we cut to you guys on the rowboat, and you begin approaching this island. And it's not a very gigantic island, but it's it's a larger island. It's very strange that islands don't normally just pop up off the Sword Coast in general. Most of this stuff has been mapped out to a certain degree. Sometimes that's been tougher because of all the piracy. But you're not this far out. You're not at that depth of water at this point. But you're far enough out that it would be fairly dangerous if you just decided to take a swim. As the sea sort of heaves and and bucks, and you get the weather's not not very windy, but you still get a lot of that. If any of you get seasick or anything like that, it's not the best kind of weather right now. So eventually you reach shore, and when you get there, it's these stones. It's a mix of stone and moss and um, you know just very, you can tell, under the water at some point, right? This doesn't look like the grass that you would normally find on some island that might grow that needs sunlight and all that stuff. You're not finding that here. A lot of what you see here is smooth stone, where your footing might not be so perfect in places, might be very slippery. You see a lot of moss and lichen and things that you normally find in low tide, that sort of thing. But the stone does jut out. What is this? Is this the DM screen? Because I know this.
That's that's the cover of the Sword Coast Adventures Guide.
All right, there you go. So, so when you get there, it's a small, island for the most part, but it's you find a little shore that you can bring the boat up on, and when you get there, I would like. Ooh, okay. So, I know, yeah, it's yeah, like we hear your fun. I appreciate that, yeah. So the waves break against the stones, and the sea slime is all over the place. kind of get the feeling like this hasn't been exposed to the air for long. You can kind of tell that all this stuff is evidence of that, right? So there's a sheer cliff that rises up, right? And so there's actual coral on this cliff, which clearly indicates to you something's not normal about the top. And so there are some pillars near you can see like a little pathway almost that you could sort of climb up that leads to an opening that has some pillars, right? And I would like a perception check from all three of y'all.
Before I do the perception check, I'm going to throw up my mage armor.
You're going to throw a what?
Throw up my mage armor.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Question.
And
Yes.
Oh, you could finish.
I was going to say, can I, instead of the perception check or in tandem with the perception check, can I use and focus on detect magic?
You can do that. You're still on the shore here, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's at least get some perception-izzle from Rafael. Got 29.
Okay, so I guess. So 2 plus half my. Hey, all right.
Not nice.
Good time. So, So, Alt Peter, when you go to scan with your magics and start detecting any, arcane traces here, you don't specifically see or feel anything where you are. That indicates a lot of magic. You do get a sense there's some residual magic to this place, but nothing. It's more all around you.
Okay.
Question, Benny. Has it been? It's been. You said it's been a few days since we met up with everybody.
Wait, hold on. It just cut off. What happened?
You said it's been a few days.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
No, I just want to make sure because I'm still
Gotcha,
not at
to the
full
side.
health. I want to make sure.
It's like,
I wanted to make sure I'm at full health. Is all.
Oh yeah. So since it's
Right,
been a
yes.
couple of days, question. Have I attuned to this ring by now?
all right, sorry. My headset is freaking out. It keeps cutting off, and I don't know what's going on. It's freaking. I'm gonna have to maybe switch to speakers, but that's gonna end up feeding back, or maybe try the phone. I don't know if that's gonna be any better. Give me a sec.
Yeah, my laptop kept cutting out, so I switched over to my phone, and now I'm not having any problems.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna help much, but we will give it a shot. I'm gonna switch over. Be right back. Hello.
I like your mic stand. Hello.
All right, is that any better?
You sound a bit louder, so yes.
Okay, all right. So let me know if there's any residual weird ass noise.
Okay.
So, all right. So the rest of you, was there anybody saying they were doing something?
What?
It's just one.
Like I missed something.
Your ring, you said.
Yeah, I was asking if I'm attuned to that ring since you said it's been a couple of days.
Yes. So you guys all had rests. You guys all had any time to attune. Yeah, that's all been done. So, what the rest of you notice, the other two, you see when you look up at the sort of the top of the cliff. It's not necessarily the top of the cliff, but a little outcropping there.
that you can make your way up. And you see a symbol at the top with your eagle eyes, and it's sort of, you can see there's an opening there. And when you check the opening, at the top of that opening is a symbol that looks like this. And it looks like two waves crashing against each other. But, that's sort of what you catch. But aside from that, the landing isn't too, there's nothing really special about the landing. And, you can climb up to it's about a 30-foot climb up to get to the outcropping. Yeah.
All right. So you said this is just a rowboat, right?
Yeah, it's just a rowboat.
Okay. All right. I'm going to grab the smallest of my goats.
Okay.
And I'm just going to hold it.
You have it ready?
I'm just holding it.
Okay.
Not sure if I want to do anything with it yet, but right now it's keeping me company.
Okay, so the comfort of your smallest goat keeps you hopefully prepared for anything that may come about. But so, are you guys going to approach the outcropping?
Sure.
Yeah, it's the only clickable thing on the screen. So, so I would like some climb checks. So it's not
athletics.
A sheer cliff. Yeah, athletic, perfect. It's not like I remember Pathfinder or anything. So it's not a sheer cliff. It is more like a steep hike with some scrambling that has to get done. So I would like some athletics checks. It makes sense.
Wow.
I mean, hey, the wizard isn't exactly the peak physical form, right? So,
shocking.
So let's say, who goes first?
I'll go first.
Okay, so Ralph goes first, and so who's next then in that marching order?
I guess it would be me.
All right, cool. So
I don't know. I'd be really eager to climb that thing, so I might actually charge in front of you, Ralph.
That's fine with me. I'm just going because I know how to climb.
All right, yeah. So Ralph clearly takes a step forward. Cracks his knuckles, getting ready. But it looks like John beat him to the punch to get up there. So he climbs up, and John has a little bit of a hard go of it. And about halfway up, Rafael actually passes him, just due to skill and confidence. From what you can tell, he seems to be able to avoid a lot of the slippery, rocks and moss infested, handholds. But Maven has a tougher go of it. So yeah. As Maven lags behind, we'll say that Rafael already made it to the top. Maven's about halfway up, and Maven's left foot, as it goes to grab onto one little spot that Maven was sure was a good point to grab onto, begins to slip. So now, what I would like is a dexterity saving from you, Maven.
Okay, 1 second. Double check my dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to do acrobatics or straight dexterity?
Acrobatics would, I'll count that, sure. Oh, wow, wonderful. So, so as you start to slip, and you get that feeling right as your foot, you know that when you planted your foot, you knew the mistake as you were doing it. And so you get the foot on there, and just that's like black ice. You couldn't really tell how slippery it was until your foot hit it. And you slip with that left foot, and at the last moment, you happen to grab a piece of rock that it's fairly jagged, but it was enough and angled in such a way that it provided the best grip that you can have at that moment. So you managed to avoid, crushing your skull on any other rock on your way down. But you do manage to get that grip, and we'll say that you're a little more careful there. But what do the rest of you guys want to do when you see your companion almost by it?
I want to offer him a rope.
All right.
I keep climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself first before hurting yourself or hurting other people, right? It's like an airplane, right?
They say, fuck your children. Save yourself first.
Right. Right? You're no good to anybody if they're not, if you're not, in good shape. So, all right. So you're going to throw a rope over the ledge there and try to make sure Maven makes it?
Yeah, you need like a check for that?
No, in this case, what I'll do is we'll just assume that you're big and burly enough that you provide some stability, and we'll make Maven roll another climb check, right? So we're gonna roll again with athletics, but you'll have advantage on that, and it's only halfway up, so hopefully, don't roll a 1, not to jinx it or anything.
You totally wanted to jinx it.
Oh, look at that. It would have been a 2. Wonderful. So, Maven, with your friend's help, you get the rope tied around an arm at first until you get enough space that you can actually put it around your waist. And you climb up the rest of the way. Dust yourself off from any strange, gunk that might have been on that rock, and so you're all here at a sort of entryway. Now it looks like a cave, but it looks more like it was a ruined entrance at some point. There's evidence that of some architecture here that has eroded a long time ago, but there are certain angles that rocks normally don't make when they're in the sea or at sea, and it looks like the sea has made its imprint on this archway, for what you understand. So at this point, I might as well make all of you roll a knowledge religion check. Maven definitely skipped arm and leg day. Wonderful. Hey. Oh, that's 20. Now
God? And God replied, yes.
And it was good, son.
Yes, Lord.
It must be Lord Gaines.
Wow, all of you. Wow, you're wonderful. This brings a tear to my eye.
It's the Hispanic in us. That's what it is.
Yeah, so all of you know this, and
whoa! I just realized Krzysztof is the only person who's not Hispanic in our entire D&D group.
I'm not Hispanic. I'm Latino, but I'm not Hispanic.
Oh, okay.
What's the difference?
Well, I'm Haitian.
You don't speak Spanish at all.
No. I'm half Haitian, so I'm of French descent, but that still technically counts as Latino. But not Hispanic.
I was unaware that French
could still be Latino?
Yes.
Because they share an island with Santo Domingo.
Just like Brazilian Portuguese, but they're Latino.
Oh. Well, you learn something new every day.
Brazilian and Portuguese.
Peter obviously rolled a knowledge geography there and schooled us.
Yeah, so what you guys know, aside from your own heritages, you do know that symbol, now that it's in, pretty much right in your face, it is still at the top of this entryway. And the symbol of two waves crashing against each other is actually a fairly well-known god to those who have been at sea or anything, and that is known as the bitch queen Umberly,
Yes.
It's one of the nicknames. Yes, one of the nicknames, and that gives you an idea of what kind of goddess she would be. That's sort of her nickname there. And so she's not a good, or she's definitely not a good god. You guys know that, but being it's from the sea, most sailors pray to her just to try to, get on her good side. Otherwise, they'll have a hard time of it at sea. Usually that's the superstition. And John would know that more. But, Maven knows a lot more about the actual goddess herself.
Wait, Benny, I got a question.
Yes.
Which setting are we in? Are we in Forgotten Realms? Are we in Space Jammer? Or are we in Sword Coast?
You're in Forgotten Realms now.
Weren't we in like Space Jammer yesterday?
Well, Spelljammer kind of has overflow into Forgotten Realms and other settings as well.
Yes.
So yeah, because there's a lot of Spelljammer that like end up being in Forgotten Realms, especially in the novels.
Mm.
And my whole concept of this was, every once in a while, you're going to be in another realm of reality anyway.
How many official realms are there?
40,000.
Well, there's Greyhawk, there's Forgotten Realms, Eberron,
Planescape,
Sun or Dark Sun, right?
Yeah, Dark Sun, that's another one. Technically, you guys were already in the Dark Sun thing, but I didn't describe it well enough, and it was very quick.
Oh, was that the desert thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's that, and there's that weird kind of loose setting that they did for 4th edition where they just threw a bunch of shit together and called it Points of Light.
Yeah, Points of Light. There's Ravenloft. That's another one that's like
isn't that the Curse of Strahd campaign setting?
Yeah. They sort of put it in there as that.
It also overlaps into Forgotten Realms. A lot of them overlap into Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a kitchen sink thing with Forgotten Realms, and so that's what I wanted to do here too, just to have weird crap pop up all the time. This maybe not so much. This is more Forgotten Realmsy, but so that is Umberly, a symbol of Umberly, and Maven gets that feeling that that this may have been a temple. Aside from the obvious fact that there is a symbol above the archway, but some of that, missing architecture that's hinted at here with some of the ruined parts implies that maybe this was some sort of ancient temple to Umberly.
I would, as a character, I personally find this extremely fascinating because as a person, I find strong and misunderstood goddesses very fascinating. So I would be thrilled to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, there you go. So there's a brochure on the side. It says, what to expect when you're expecting Umberly. Anyway, whatever. Sorry. But yeah, so what are you guys going to do? Are you going to...
So the second I realize that this is a temple and it's ancient, I instantly get a light bulb above my head.
Okay.
I mutter, temples, traps, treasure, and then I go off in search of adventure.
All right. So you're heading in on. Right?
I'm going to immediately look for any secret doors, anything that might possibly pass as thieves can't, to try to find any hidden anything in this place, even if it's not like treasure, if it's just a cool place that other thieves have like found inside this ruin.
Okay. So let's say you'll enter first, and it is the light of the outside still spills in to here, and so it's not super dark. It's a little dim, but you don't see any flames. There's nothing really that seems to light this place up. And so what I'll take is a perception check, and as a general, we'll get an idea as you guys make your way in. This is how good you are at, finding anything that might have been out of place, along that line.
Wisdom is perception is wisdom. Okay.
Perception, wisdom, plus your expertise.
Prof.
Plus, if you're a rogue, yeah, I don't know if you chose that as one of your skills to add to your like rogue stuff.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Wonderful.
11.
All right, cool. So Rafael's doing a perception check as well.
Wait, since I'm looking for like secrets and shit, can I do an investigation check?
You may do that.
If you want, I can just change, like, add the modifier, so I could use that roll, since I already rolled.
Wait, what specifically are we looking for? What happened?
Yeah, what he was looking for. Yeah, he was looking for things. That adventure for the most part. He's making sure that it's not missing anything as he enters.
I'm looking for hidden doors, any tripwires, anything that seems out of place. I'm looking for mystery that may be afoot.
Can I do an investigation check for any like lore or runes that I see on the walls? Anything that would indicate anything to me about this place?
All right, cool. So so John, you're saying your modifier was what for this?
It's a +5, so that would be a 13.
13? All right, cool. So, and then Rafael, what was your roll for? That was a perception check as well?
Yeah. I want loot also, yo.
All right, and so now Maven is looking for, Maven, you're looking for like things that imply
like lore magic, sigils, anything that's like any form of useful information.
Okay.
Find on I guess I would say on the walls. I would assume that there's going to be like carvings or something on the walls.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, John, you're humming along, doing your thing, and you don't happen to really notice any. There's no thieves' cant written here. There's nothing that looks like people have been here for a long time. You don't see scribbling or scratchings on the wall that imply, the thief might have spelunked in here prior. So you really don't catch too much. But you don't set off any traps. You don't see anything that, like any telltale signs of terror or bad news. And so Rafael, you really don't see much either, to be honest. You're entering in, it's a little dark, it's a little dim, but as you're coming in, let's say you guys have gone in about 40 feet, and it starts to angle downward a little bit. You don't see, there's nothing here that has welcomed you with pain or suffering yet. It's pretty much almost welcoming for this sort of thing. But Alt Peter, I keep calling you Alt Peter because that's what I see on the screen. When you detect, let's say you're also detecting for magic, you're looking for runes, you're looking for things that might give an indication of what this place was. You don't see anything on the physical surface of things as you travel here. But what you do feel... I'm sorry?
There's nothing written anywhere?
There's nothing written, and nothing scratched, nothing left behind as a sort of indicator for physical eyes. But, you get the sense that there is more and more magic building up as you get closer to maybe the center or wherever it is you're going. This place has a sort of dark energy that you are clearly picking up on. It's starting to reach towards the the edges of your mind. That's sort of how you're feeling. Like it's there's something, some maybe presence here or not, that is just it's making its impact, whatever it is, and it doesn't seem like it's definitely not a pleasant vibe you're getting from the place. But that's pretty much it. Like for right now, nothing has come at you, and nothing has fallen on your heads. But so as you enter, you're going in a little further, and you finally come to a spot here with there are actual pillars here, and it seems like it's been less eroded, the pillars themselves, and it's sort of like an entryway almost. And you see a little bit of it's like short, like really shallow water, right? So it's like you're entering a den, but it's a little bit a little flooded, right? So it's not it depends. Like, so are any of you gonna try to step in, to see how deep the water is or not?
Hell no.
Yeah, the second I see water, I get skeeved.
Skeeved. I'm blowing this joint, man.
I'm definitely going to detect magic first to see if there's anything that weird that I can sense about the water or the surrounding area.
And you do when you detect magic. Let's say at the sort of it's not even steps really. It's more stone that's just been almost molded in a natural way down into. It's not even a pool, right? So as you detect magic, you don't really sense anything immediately in front. You still feel the magic around you, and you're starting to hear. You almost at the edges of your mental periphery. You almost hear whispers. Just if we want to get D&D style, you hear dark whispers just at the edge of your senses. And so, but aside from that, there's nothing that indicates maybe that if you're looking for a trap here, you don't feel anything in the archway specifically that's more magic than anything else.
You said this is an old, like, creepy, decayed ruin, yes?
Yeah.
So, can I find a small, flat rock?
Sure. There's
Awesome.
there's rocks here and there. There's a small. If you're looking for something smooth and like hand sized.
Nothing terribly large, but something flat would be nice.
Sure.
Small and flat.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. You've got a mix of things. You've got rocks that look like they've crumbled off of the wall. You've got stuff that sort of maybe the sea brought it in and breathed in and out, and some debris got in. You do see a lot of worn stones. That's typical of stones that have brushed up against each other over the course of many years. That's geography lesson, right? So yeah, you do find one. How big did you want it to be?
About this, like, half of the size of my palm.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, maybe 3 or 4 inches in diameter, right?
I said half the size of my palm.
Well,
3 or 4 inches is my palm. Well, like 4.
Not your hand, your palm. So yeah.
Yes. So I'm looking for something rather small.
Sure.
Well, I'm going to grab the rock and I'm going to skip it across the surface of the water. I know we are indoors, so it's going to make a super cool sound if it echoes. And I'm very excited about that.
So let's just say, for the hell of it, let's say give me a dexterity. Just
a sleight of hand.
Yeah, just something
to get the flick of the wrist.
Yeah, how cool it is.
Oh, 24. It's pretty fucking cool.
It is, yeah. So as you skip the rock across, my wife came in and she's trying to interrupt, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Damn, that's love right there, man.
So, yeah, you're definitely gonna skip this thing. Like, it bounces probably more times than you've ever gotten this trick to work. It's like bounce, 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 bounce. It goes all the way. And so towards the end of this, it gets too dark for you to see where it ends, right? But you hear that it does hit more stone at the end of it, right? So it bounces, just skips like nuts, and eventually you hear like a clack of that rock hitting another stone, or at least a wall, you assume, or at least a boulder or something towards the end of that end of its travel. But you can't see deep enough because at this point the light is now really, really dim. You get the feeling that if you went any further in, you're going to need some sort of light source because the only source of light you had was behind you.
Fun.
Yeah.
If you need a light source, I got one. And I pulled out my moon touch sword.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit. I don't remember you having that.
Yeah, he got it on the session that him and Peter fought.
I thought you shoot things with your bows.
I do, but if sometimes you need a melee weapon, and I refashioned a rapier.
Well, you bought it from the 99 copper store.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that what you tell them, though, that you fashioned it?
Yeah, exactly. No one has to know anything else.
All right. John, just so you know, this is not the same Ralph. Not that it matters, but this is not exactly the same Ralph that you had originally
hey, your
traveled
pants got lighter.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Did I not notice this before? Have they always been this light? I could have swore they were darker when we were... Wait, weren't we in space?
Oh, you just noticed? It's only been a week, dude.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. You missed a lot.
Evidently. I mean, I got this cool ring out of it, so I'm good. And I'm sure as hell not going back to Waterdeep anytime soon, so not gonna question how I got here. Just gonna keep on stepping.
So, all right, so so once he pulls out the sword, it glows with like a faint light that it's not as powerful as daylight at all, but it's fairly strong. It gives you enough light that you can see further in to this little, let's call it a grotto or whatever it's called. I don't know what they're called. And so you can see in this case, so it's a 15-foot radius, right? So you see at least 15 feet. Gets a little dimmer beyond that. That the water itself it looks like it's not even a couple of feet deep. You get the feeling that the way the water is sort of moving, with the air, it's maybe a foot deep or two at most. But you're gonna have to test it to find out.
I'm not still gonna go in that water.
Wait, so my rock didn't trigger anything?
No, nothing seemed to happen. Nothing. No dragons were disturbed.
Nothing seemed to react to the sound echoing throughout the ruins.
No, the echo of the thing was fairly loud. It definitely broke the silence. But nothing seemed to react. No.
Would you say that it broke the silence barrier?
It broke the silence barrier, sure. In fact, the spell silence is cast on this entire room, so it didn't do shit.
Damn.
No, but no. So when you pull out the sword, also, you can see a little bit further up into the ceiling, and there are arches actually, sort of at the corners, giving you an indication that this might have been something, of a room that. If this was some sort of temple, maybe there was, something important that might have happened here in ancient times.
Okay, so, there's no immediate bad guy threat, right?
Nothing. Yeah, you don't see anything with the light of the casting. Nothing has, you don't see anything in the room. There's nothing immediately that you can see in the water. nothing reacted to the sound.
Huh. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna draw my machete, and in my other hand, I'm gonna pull out a torch.
All right, very good. So, and how much does a torch? How much light does a torch?
It's dim. It's as if you have. It's dim light for what, 30 feet?
Let's see.
Oh, here.
It-
Let's
it-
ask.
yeah,
Let's
this-
ask. What's his name? Ralph. Ask dash delta. I don't know the commands for it. And
I don't think it-
anything.
Actually, well, let's see.
This is how we find out.
Items? That?
It's 20-foot radius. I see it, and dim light for an additional 20 feet. So it's
Damn, this is beautiful. I love this new
It
bot.
really is. Dash Delta's fantastic. Hey, On Our Last Life fans, if you need a bot that can tell you a bunch of shit about D&D, use Dash Delta.
look at that. So it's bright light within 20 feet, and dim light for another 20. Yeah. So when you pull out your torch, it's actually a little brighter than Ralph's 99 copper sword.
Yeah, but you can't stab with it, so.
Also,
No, but I could burn with it.
yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages. So yeah, so when you pull out your torch, the room definitely gets brighter. You do see more into the room than you can see, and it sort of confirms your suspicions. This must have been maybe like a meeting place for the quote unquote temple. You're not entirely sure. You're not seeing an altar, but you get the feeling that maybe there would have been an altar here in the middle, and then maybe there would have been priests arrayed in a circle, or who knows what. But you can see that the ceiling gives it away to a certain degree. There are pieces of architecture here that have withstood time, and they're giving you that indication, like, yeah, that's what this room is. And the water is normally a thing. It just seems like the water has pooled up here because you go down into the room and it looks like if this island came out of the water, looks like it just didn't, drain away.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Don't you have a spell that'll let us breathe underwater, Peter?
I
Hey, why you spend this whole government like that? That's not cool. There's no need for that. Nobody needs to know the contents of his spellbook. His spellbook is his business and his alone.
I'm just wondering. It would be nice if we can finish exploring this cavern.
I do not have any spell that would allow us to swim underwater. That will allow
I
us
mean, I don't need a spell to swim underwater. What the fuck?
to breathe.
Well, this is gonna be a short fight. No, go ahead. Actually, it takes like minutes to drown in D&D, right? Like even if like an Olympic swimmer might take a certain couple of minutes, but like in D&D, like it's like 10 minutes to drown.
Yeah, something like
Does
that.
it really?
I know in Pathfinder we did it one time, and in Pathfinder it was ridiculous. Like even if you just had like a minor constitution, you could actually survive, drowning for a few minutes. You would like lose health eventually, but you wouldn't just die immediately.
That's wild.
5e is different. 5e, there's like some checks you make, and then you do just die. But like there has to be a lot of things that work that fall into place there. But yeah, so what do you guys do?
The only way to go is underwater.
It's like I want to describe it now. Once the torch comes out, you can test the water. You're not sure that this is that deep. It looks more like it's a surface kind of depth there. It's just like a pool that there would be flat ground under it, theoretically, and you can't see that deep into the water or anything like that. But you can tell from where you're at that it's just sort of still water. Doesn't feel like it. You're not getting that feeling like that there's a depth to this.
All right, so then I guess we walk. Through.
Okay, but before we walk in, I think we should do it at the beginning of the next episode.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.